And thanks for joining us here on PM Express. And there is a major controversy that has been brewing over the last few days. At one point, it even got the minority leader to apologize to the Interior Minister because he had raised some concerns, allegations actually, unfounded allegations, about the recruitment process that is currently going on for the security services. But at the heart of it is a major unemployment crisis because, as we're learning today, more than 500,000 people apply for just 500,000 people apply for just 5,000 slots. And as you can imagine, what it means is more than 98% of those who applied will not be picked as far as the selection of the security services are concerned. And this has sparked a major controversy, both within the NDC and on the general public. And so today, the Interior Minister addressed the press. This is what he told the country in Parliament when he came to the cameras to speak to the issues. Listen to Mensah Mubarak.
The past 2-3 days, there have been a lot of misconception in the social media talking about the recruitment exercise. And we needed to put some perspective right. One, we started this process with, I think, in December, right? Yeah. In December. With the hope of trying to make the system as transparent as possible. And with transparency, you need to open it up by showing people how they can apply. Then you take them through the process. Coincidentally, by the time the deadline for application was closed, and this is very important, there was a total of 506,618 applicants. Over 500,000 Ghanaians youth were urging to be able to join our security service. This is an excellent thing. People who want to come forward and be able to serve their country, which is a very good thing. But as all of us know, out of these over 500,000, there was over 130,000 applicants to the police alone. And let me say this, the current police strength we have today, from the IGP to the last constable, is 49,000. The total police force we have is 49,000. Yet we had 130,000 young people wanting to join the service. As you know, we are under an IMF program, and knowing also the economic challenges that we inherited, and being the first recruitment that we'll be doing, the economy can only bring in 2,500 more police officers. 2,500. I mean, other ranks, and then 500 cadets. So when you put that, that's just about 3,000. Meanwhile, we have 130,000 that are opting to join the police. With the Ghana Immigration Service, by the time we closed the portal, to our utmost shock, there were more applicants to the Ghana Immigration Service than even the Ghana Police. The total of over 180,000 young men wanted to join the Ghana Immigration Service. But the interesting thing is that today, the Ghana Immigration Service, the strength from the Comptroller General to the last officer at immigration stands as 18,300, less than 20,000. Yet you have 180,000 opting to join. And unfortunately, because of the space, the fiscal space, we could only have a space for 1,000. We could have space for only 1,000. When you come to Ghana Fire Service, by the time the portal closed, there were 124,000 applicants. 124,000 applicants for Ghana National Fire Service. Meanwhile, the current National Fire Service, from the chief fire officer to the last officer, they are just about 17,000 plus. Yet you have 124,000 wanting to join the Ghana National Fire Service. The Ghana Prison Service, when the portal closed, there were 71,000 applicants. The Ghana Prison Service, as we speak today, their strength is just a little over 14,000. So just suppose their strength now as against the number who wants to come. And in the case of the Ghana Prison Service, the space could only accommodate 500. So the total space we have to be able to recruit in this first phase, and my emphasis, first phase of the recruitment process, is only 5,000. And yet you have over 500,000 Ghanaians who want to join. So I ask everybody, well, we have body selection, we have documentation. When we finish, I mean, usually these ones, because it's about document and body selection, not too many people who, I mean, by the time we finish, those who got disqualified through documentation and other things, they were less than, what do you call it? They were less than 30,000. So it left you over 400,000 who were now ready to go through aptitude tests and then medical exams. We have several options. One of the options is that to say that, okay, can we do the pass mark at 50? So that many more people will pass and go for medicals. But now you know the end game. Because the end game is that you could only absorb 5,000. So if you do that, are you fair to the average Ghanaian? Because remember, all these stages, apart from buying the voucher to be able to apply, body selection didn't require payment. What do you call it? Documentation doesn't require payment. Aptitude test didn't require payment. But medicals will require payment. And in order not to shorten innocent young people, it is better you put in a mechanism that will reduce the number drastically, because once the person goes to pay, I mean, I know the military, when they were done, the medicals alone was about 1,600. We are doing even mental health, and we are also doing drug tests in addition. Yes, I know the deputy and I were just in a meeting and we're insisting that despite all these additions, the price should not be still very high, looking at the numbers that we are talking about. Are you going to allow over 400,000 people to go and do medicals when you know you have space for only 5,000? How fair are you to the people? So you need to devise a method where you slow down the number and have some reasonable number. So the pass mark was put at 65. Because that was what they were told before they even started the exams. So at 65, as we speak, we still have 105,000 that have qualified for medicals. When in actual sense, the total number that we can now take after medicals is 5,000. So we still have a huge challenge. But it gives us the president instructed that, look, those who qualify and pass medicals, let's keep the data. This is the first phase. We are hoping that maybe later in the, because remember this current recruitment that we are doing is a 2025 recruitment. Hopefully when we are out of the IMF, we could do the 2026. So we'll pick from that same data. Hopefully, if maybe it's past 6 months, then you can only ask them to repeat medicals, but not to start opening the process all over again. So, fellow citizens, I've heard so much criticism and why this, why that, and I told people, let's assume that I said that, look, without maybe a very bad example, we are going to receive this recruitment to only media people. Let's say there are only media people who will be recruited. You and I know from the length and breadth of our country, the media people we have is more, they are more than 5,000. What criteria are you going to use to get 5,000 out of that more than 5,000? Definitely you have to develop something that will help. You may talk about how fair the thing is or how unfair it is, but what method are you going to use as a way of not using human interference? So that I look at you and say, okay, you can go. You are too short, you can't go. You are too fair, you can't go. That one is too tall. I mean, so you have to use a system that is devoid of human interference to enable the system to carry you to that end. Yes, I know the disappointment. I know the difficulty. But the issue is about joblessness and not issue about the security. And you, all of us know, you want to get a professional police officer. You want to get a professional immigration officer. You just don't want any person who will go in. I mean, I'm sorry to say this. We are having a challenge with people with mental issues in the service. You have people with drug issues in the service. All these things are things that you use, and through that, some people will fall along the way to enable you get, someone said, about the best of best. So I know a lot of young people may be disappointed, but they should exercise restraint. This is not going to be the first and last recruitment that the government is going to be having. We are going to make sure that at least, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has said it, as the economy improves, many more will be taken into the security service. Currently, the police force that we have, the number that we have, just as I mentioned, 49,000 plus, immigration about 18,000 plus, fire about 17,000 plus, prisons about 14,000 plus, narcotics control about 3,000 plus. When you put all of them together, they are less than 100,000. They are less than 100,000. But even that, the wage bill on them is about 13 billion. So if the resources were there, I mean, I would have been the happiest person if we were able to recruit about 500,000 more security people. But let's be practical. Will our economy be able to absorb that? We all know that practically that is not possible. If you have a police of 50,000, can you really take 130,000 and add to an existing 49,000? So this is where we found ourselves, and I want to plead with the rank and file of our youth to appreciate that. That's why we introduce a number of other measures that we are hoping into the future may even help us as a way of screening them. You remember the police assistant that we did? We took 15,000 under the youth employment, model, to be assisting the police, what we call the Zoom police. We took 15,000. With fire, we took 5,000 to assist the fire officers in the market. And then with prison, 5,000. That alone was 25,000. That is 5 times what we are doing into the mainstream. And our hope is that as they work with the police, they work with fire, they work with prisons, they get to know the job so that the next recruitment we may be able to prioritize them, because now they know how the job is. And we have also gotten the opportunity to work with them and even know their character, their behavior, their strength, and their weakness. So we want to assure them we'll continue to open many more opportunities for the young people, but we cannot use one recruitment exercise to solve all this problem. So I want to thank you so much for this opportunity to have given you this brief information. Yeah.
So fascinating insights indeed, and that there just encapsulates the dilemma that the Interior Minister, the government is facing. But there's something very fundamental about the points he's making. It's about doing the right thing. That for me is a summary of what I heard. It's about doing the right thing. So everybody wants to get in. But this is the reality of what he says. I mean, you have listened to him. Let's show you the numbers as he himself articulated, and let's put it in the bigger context. 500,000 plus people applied. The slots, only 5,000. So in other words, 1% will go through. So there's a bigger question about the unemployment challenge. Now, remember, I'll show you many documents and commissions of inquiries and investigations that we've done over the years, where we've all, as a collective, as a country, said that when it comes to recruitment into our security services, we needed it to be merit-based. What that means necessarily is that you need to find ways of sifting this number, but also ensuring that those who get in indeed qualify. And the minister is trying to juggle all that and to do the right thing for this country. But as you know, there are some people who you wish that rather he would not do the right thing and just put in, as they call it, the protocol list. Either is MPs or insiders or political party elements, just push them through. And I'll show you why the minister wants to do the right thing, because it is not only about what the commissions of inquiries and investigations over the last several decades have shown, but the party's own manifesto said they will do exactly what the minister says he's doing right now. So that is the math. The math says it's impossible to have everybody in because you have slots for only 5,000 people. And then he gives us a breakdown of what we have here. If you look at the total applicants versus the current security service strength, in terms of the 7 members of the immigration, the fire service, the prisons, and the police, those who apply way exceed those who are currently employed. Immigration service, the current staff strength is 18,000, but 180 people applied to get in. It's not possible to take all of them. Not possible. You have fire service. Current staff strength is 17,000. 124,000 people applied to get in. The minister said that himself. You currently have a prison service with a staff strength of 14,000. You had 71,000 people applying to get in. And then you come to the police service, even worse. 130,000 people applied. When the entire police force, from the IGP to the constable, the lowest, even the trainee, it's just 49,000. So that there is a dilemma. But this is the picture here. This is the picture. The entire security service that we have, the police, the prisons, the immigration, etc., the staff strength is 800,000. But you're talking about 500,000 plus people who are applying to try and get in. So you see the dilemma. If you're a Ghanaian and you seriously are concerned about your country and want the good of this country, and you are applying, you must know that you must qualify. You must get there on merit, whether you're a party person and whether you have your father is the president or your father is the interior minister. There must be a way where we say we want to do the right thing, which is fundamentally what the minister says he wants to do. Others have accused him and they've had to apologize. The minority leader did so, right? Because as you're seeing, it's playing out and the evidence is there. The process is quite rigorous. 1, you have to do documentation. 2, then you have to go through the body selection. After you've done that, you do an online aptitude test. And this, by the way, takes away the human element. So it becomes a matter of, can you really answer the questions? And I know people have said, the questions that we ask, that the questions aren't good enough and some of them are difficult. Of course, the security services deserve the absolute best. And some have questioned the nature of the questions that people were asked. Either was too weak, was frivolous, or too strong. But people have raised their own issues. It's an aptitude test. It is. And then you do your medicals. Some want the minister to bypass this process and simply push them through. Let's say you don't want to go through the medicals. It actually has fatal consequences. Because if you're cleared to go into any of the services, say police, the rigor when it comes to training, when it comes to on-the-job practice and service, if you are hypertensive or have any other chronic medical condition, you could die in training. And people actually do die in training. And that is why the medicals are important. It's not there because the minister necessarily has 500,000 people and has 5,000 open slots. That's not why it's necessarily there. It is there because we must make sure that before you get in, fundamentally, you tick these boxes. And this is, by the way, global best practice. So either we want this country to do well and our security services to be professional, or we don't. We can't be the people who criticize the politicians, and when they decide to do the right thing, we take them on because our people don't get in. So that's fundamentally one of the things we need to highlight. And then you look at the next challenge in the ongoing recruitment. You have the qualified for medicals of 105,000, but the slots, of course, is 5,000. And the minister has told you what his dilemma is. Something must happen here, and you're finding ways of dealing with the challenge. The bigger issue really is the unemployment question. Applicants who pass medicals will be prioritized in the next recruitment phase. And so he says, this is the first phase. It isn't the end in itself. But let's fix the 5,000 first, because that is what he has clearance to employ. As far as the finance ministry is concerned, this also has budgetary consequences. And this is a country that's trying to recover from years of economic malaise and difficulty. So you need to be mindful of the cost, because the current budget is 11.2 billion for the security services, right? 11.2 billion, and it's according to the 2026 budget. So this is a huge figure, just to pay compensations for those in the sector. And now you're talking about a total government wage bill of 12.3 billion. That Interior Ministry obviously share of the government wage bill, right? 12.3%. 12.3% of a wage bill is significant. So that obviously tells you a story of there is also the budgetary consideration here. So they can't necessarily employ everybody. Some people will definitely have to sit back for the rest who actually qualify to go through. I understand the parties obviously would want their people in there. But even there, just make sure that they pass those 4 key major, very fundamental criteria. It's very, very important. You need to check those boxes. And so even when you have your party folks in, there will be those who have qualified according to the 4 key assessment criteria. That is one of the things that the minister is also trying to push here, right? Other than the case in the past where we've had instances where people are just put into the security services, whether they had a qualification or not, party boys, foot soldiers, etc. So again, you look at the statistics. It tells its own story as far as the key issues are concerned. The amount spent on compensation of employees is significant, is huge, right? And then you come to the question another question that the minister himself is having to deal with, which is, he's not only fighting off criticism and pressure from the MPP, he's having to deal with pressure from his own political party. And what you see on the screens is a few of the concerns from party foot soldiers who are criticizing the NDC for failing to push them through, their own through, right? You won't give them scholarships, you won't give them a Jumera National Apprenticeship Program 2, no. Security Service Recruitment, no. You are denying them. Like, what do you want them to do after all these years of campaigning, he says. Some of our boys are really having it tough. It's honestly been a tough year. And this is Mr. Parry who put that on the Facebook wall. So those who campaign for the party, there's an argument from the NDC that you need to find a way of pushing them through, whether they qualify or not. Minister says you need to make sure you tick that criteria, those 4 assessment criteria. You must tick those boxes, even if you're going to get through as a party person. And I believe that's the right thing to do. The people must be qualified first and foremost. If they qualify, I have no qualms at all in making sure that they get to serve in the security services. Now, let's pause for a second and analyze this NDC backlash that has been directed at the minister from within. Well, as you know, this is what has happened for many decades. The recruitment process sometimes is skewed to favor party people, etc. And so because you aren't getting in huge numbers, you can expect that people will be upset with the minister. So even if you consider the NDC and the minister make the point, he used journalists, but let's use the party. And you want to give all branch executives an opportunity to get into the security services. Let's pause for a second and examine the logic that some within the party are pushing onto the minister to do. You have branch executives per our calculations across the country of 365,832 people. 365,000 people. Assuming all of these people want to enter the security service because they don't have jobs. If you have 5,000 slots, how do you net that off and get all the 365,000 people into the security service? Answer that question. Is that's not possible. So you must find a way of sifting through, shortlisting, and making sure the best get through. So what it means is that a huge percentage of this number will not have the opportunity. The basic math will tell you that some of you will simply not get it because you have 5,000 people, 5,000 slots. That is what the government can afford to hire. So just looking at your numbers, even if you're doing the constituency executives, giving all that, let's say all the 5,000 slots only for constituency executives, that's 6,000 people. 6,072 people. Again, 1,072 of them will not get in. So it is not possible to have everybody else going in, right? Something must happen and must be scientific and objective in assessing who gets in and who doesn't. And I've showed you the 4 criteria that they're using to do this. Now, One of the things that I found fascinating, and I raised at the beginning, it comes down to the sort of security service we want to have. One that is professional or one that isn't. And the reason, and we, the people, will suffer if we don't have a professional service. So I also West Wuogon constituent, the Commission of Inquiry. I was before the commission. And one of the recommendations, they found really that the MPP administration, in their recruitment process, there's a lot of unqualified party folks who had gone in, and so it wasn't merit-based. And so their recommendation was, police should review recruitment procedures and introduce merit-based criteria. That was one of the recommendations in the that Commission of Inquiry, and I was before then, I testified, and they basically make this recommendation because they found, and this is not an NDC MPP problem, it's been there for years. That recommendation was put out. It was a government-wide paper that rejected this particular part of the conclusion of that commission proposal. Rejected as recruitment is already merit-based. We all know that's not true. That there, indeed, as we found in the evidence before the commission, there are a lot of people went in there who didn't have the professional qualification and shouldn't be nowhere near the security service. But that happened. Do you know what happened when this came up? The NDC criticized the MPP. The NDC then, they were in opposition. They criticized the MPP severely for doing that, for pushing people into the security service and being found out at the Commission of Inquiry, and a proposal coming forth, and they were not surprised that the party in the white paper, the government then rejected it. And so you know what they did when they were campaigning for the 2024 elections? They wrote this into their party's manifesto. And in doing so, they still criticized the MPP and said, recruitment into security agencies, I'm quoting from the party's MPP NDC's manifesto, recruitment into the security agencies has been tainted by nepotism, partisanship, and corruption. This is the NDC in their 2024 manifesto, criticizing the MPP on the back of the Ayawaso West Wuogon Commission of Inquiry recommendation that found that the MPP had flooded the security services with party folks who don't qualify. And then the NDC concluded that what would they do? When they come, if they come to power at the time, they will, quote, review recruitment policies, and that it will be merit-based. So now when they come into power, you have an interior minister who has laid out the four key recruitment criteria, objective, scientific, including aptitude tests, to try and deliver on this promise. And now the party people say, we don't want to hear it. But this is how you want power. You want power by promising us that you do just that. So why are you complaining? So yes, party folks are being unfair to the minister when he's trying to do exactly what you promise. The social contract you sign with the people is that you will do this. So do it. What if you do right, it means some of you won't get in. Many, in fact, overall majority of you won't get in. As I showed, your numbers are too huge, 5,000 slots. But every Ghanaian deserves a fair shot at getting in so far as they can tick those 4 key boxes. You can take the documentation assessment. You can take the body selection assessment. You can take the aptitude test and take the medical examination. You have a right to get in. That is the professional way, universally accepted, of recruitment into the security service. And they have to do background checks even when you go through all that. So the NDC foot soldiers who are upset, you don't have a case. When you were campaigning, I know some of you, as I read, you campaign hard. You campaign that you will do this. So if you're not getting in, why are you holding the minister to it? And then you have of course, the minority raised questions. We've seen that system described as unfair, right? And we'll try and understand why that is. This is the AI supervised test considered. It's as you say, is disruptive. It's poor internet access that affected the aptitude testing and refund disqualified applicants. Well, that's a point that can be considered. I will ask that question because if you look really at it, there's a huge amount of money that the agencies recruiting have made from the application fee that the applicants paid. And I was fascinated to hear that 110 million, if you consider the total number of applicants which the minister disclosed to be over 500,000, and one person will be paying 220 cedis, they have raked in 110 million cedis. So the argument is those who failed give them back their 220 cedis. I think that's a fair point that maybe the ministry will consider, right? But that really isn't the fundamental issue here. The fundamental issue is leave the minister to do what he has to do in keeping with the international best practice. And the party must know that it is in their own interest that the right thing is done, because as I said, West Gorgon has indicated that we need to do it right. We need to do it right. So I'm going to have a big conversation with my guests who are joining me here on this matter. This feeds into a bigger problem of the unemployment crisis. This is just not a recruitment problem. It is unemployment crisis. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about our security services, right? On the bigger picture that the West Gorgon Commission of Inquiry also highlights. Please stay with me. After this, my guests will weigh in. Always brought to you by Syntex Tanks. It is strong, it is tough. Pepsodent Cavity Fighter, a toothpick, Stanbic CIB Impact series. And as you know, if you're looking for the tank that will store water but also be durable and last, and you're looking for the tortoise tank, the tank with the tortoise symbol on it, it's Syntex Tank. It is strong, it is tough. And tonight, just before you sleep, make sure you use Pepsodent Cavity Fighter, because that is what guarantees stronger, whiter teeth. And I recommend it this evening. And of course, you're looking for the Stanbic CIB that is providing services, unparalleled services, where others spot risk. They will unlock value. A Stanbic corporate and investment banking, they partner with businesses driving Ghana and Africa's growth, from energy to mining, infrastructure to trade. They finance the ideas and enterprises that empower economies. You want to call them on 030-281-5789. My guest joining me for a conversation, Dr. Ishmael Norman is the President, Institute for Security, Disaster and Emergency Studies. Also joining me is shortly will be a retired police officer, COP George Alex Mensah, is a former commissioner of police, retired. He's bringing that, of course, input into this conversation based on what he's done before and what he's seen. Honorable John Ntimfojo is a ranking member on the Defense and Interior Committee, MP for Senor. Major General Emmanuel Kotia will join us, former Commissioner General of the Ghana Boundary Commission. And I would have loved to start with him because, of course, he is from the military, and the military is known for precision and discipline. And I would have loved to get his thoughts. When he joins us, would definitely get him on this. But I want to bring in very quickly Ishmael Norman to give me his quick perspective on. Say it again. No. Oh, Asin South, yes, and that is in Ntimfojo. There, very important indeed, because he's here representing his people fundamentally. So great to have you in the studio, Dr. Norman. First, give me your thoughts on the challenge that we are currently talking about, and more specifically to the numbers that apply as against the slots available, and the challenge that poses to a security service that wants to be credible, that wants to be professional.
Thank you very much. Greetings to all the panel members and, of course, yourself. I think we need to applaud the Minister of Interior for being a moral politician and a moral leader, trying to do the selection based upon meritocracy. This is, for me, this is the first time I'm seeing this kind of thing happen in Ghana, and I am totally immersed with admiration for them. It's a very difficult choice-making process and decision-making process, but I believe that the minister and the committee doing the selection, they're going about it the right way, so that if they do it in phases, then they are able to accommodate more people, considering the budget, the financial implications involved in every single person that you hire. And so I think, without going into too much details, I think the minister is on the right path. Meritocracy is not what Ghanaians want. Ghanaians, whether they are MPP or NDC, they want, identity politics, neo-patrimonialism. You push people in because your party is in power. That's what they want. It's very, very difficult to go against the grain of the moral behavior of the society. But they are on the right path. They should do the right thing. And in the end, victory will again be that of the NDC.
In Tim Fojo, so in Parliament and on the committee level, has this come up for questioning scrutiny? The minister today gave us a good picture of the challenge he's having to deal with. You must have some sympathy.
Yeah, thank you, Evans. Good evening to you, and a good evening to Dr. Norman, COP George Alex Mensah, Major General Dr. Kotia, and all our co-panelists, especially our cherished viewers. In fact, this is most regrettable, it is unfortunate, and it is one that is most condemnable. As a matter of fact, I'm surprised that the first word from Dr. Norman is calling for applause for a minister who was superintendent over the biggest security scam this country has ever recorded.
How is this scam?
When you go and milk 110 million cities from over 500,000 people with a job slots for only 5,000, that's the biggest.
But applicants have always paid
and you turn around to tell them, oh, now I have space for only 5,000. Could that be the reason why the system has been designed so problematic in a way to prevent many people who qualify from qualifying? Now, the fundamental word merit-based. We've always recruited on the principles of merit-based. You'll be able to...
The evidence doesn't suggest that.
No, the evidence suggests so.
I mean, the evidence...
No, the evidence suggests so.
I also that I mentioned.
You can have excesses. You can have excesses.
No, but we are talking about evidence.
So the evidence I have...
is a commission that was set up and looked at the evidence. The evidence said, at the time, a lot of recruitment that went to the service was just not based on merit, it was based on partisan affiliation. You see,
Ghana, because of politics, we are quick to give the dog a bad name, just to hang it. So just because you want to jettison something that was properly done in the past for a system that has, at the outset, failed, you want to discredit the past. We are talking about a recruitment system that has produced the likes of COP George Alex Mensah, the likes of Major General Dr. Kotia.
No, that's the 1%.
No, so that's not 1%.
No, but one majority.
Evans,
and I keep going back to the evidence of the...
So I'm giving you evidence. These are...
Two people.
No, so...
But the commission looked broadly...
If you may, let me...
I mean, you can't run away from the commission's work.
I am saying that, yes,
evidence.
The commission gave its work.
Yeah.
But the commission...
The evidence says, across the board, partisanship has dominated the recruitment process.
The politicization of recruitment in the country is problematic.
Yeah.
And even how it was politicized in this particular recruitment is even more problematic than the previous ones done, and I'll prove that point. So no one should suggest that this particular recruitment did not come with any politicization. I'll cite all the evidence to you, and these are matters of public record. So let's address the general issue of politicization of our recruitment. That is a challenge. Now, merit-based is the guiding principle, and that is the principle that has guided a lot of the recruitment we've done in the past. You are likely to find certain infractions. You deal with those infractions and you bring in innovations and systems that will ensure that you improve upon a merit-based system. In introducing those systems, you are also careful to ensure best practice. Now, let me come in here. In the first instance, you cited some sections of the NDC manifesto, yes, claiming that their recruitment is going to be merit-based. Fantastic. Then their candidate, now President Mahama, in videos that are in wide circulation, goes before party, full soldiers and branch executives and promises them that all your children, they're also Ghanaians, will make sure all of them are recruited into our security services. Haven't you come by those videos?
I haven't seen one.
You haven't seen. Your producer, if he's so kind, he will show them. It is all over. And so he goes before full soldiers and promises them, a blanket promises of recruiting their children, nephews, and grandchildren into the security services without reference to the particular page in their manifesto that's so-called tabled merit-based recruitment.
But here's the difference, though. Of course, I haven't said it, but here's the difference.
It will help the conversation.
Very important. He said that, but I'm now looking at the evidence of the implementation.
Great.
The evidence of the implementation. The evidence of the implementation so far, as I've seen it, is a four-tier assessment process. You have the documentation, you have the body selection, you have an aptitude test, by the way, which is taking away the human element, and then you have the medicals.
Very well.
Right? And then you see the evidence of the NDC fools who are upset. If they were doing what Mahama had said, that I haven't
Let me tell you why
they won't be that upset at the minister.
Let me tell you why they're upset. They're upset because you promised them that you're going to just take them blankets without recourse to anything. And then the moment you win power, the first thing that you said by Dafia Mepo led that charge, Sam George led that charge, a lot of other stalwarts led that charge. I'm on record to have criticized that. I'm on record to have blocked it. They tried to put it into the military recruitment, and I blocked it. The first thing they did was that, and there were public posts, tweets, and Facebook posts, and some even granted interviews justifying that they are getting calls from their grassroots, from NDC full soldiers in their constituencies, calling for expanded age limits from 25 for other ranks and 30 in officers to 35. Blanket expansion in age limits. You saw that conversation. So that was the beginning of the politicization of the ongoing recruitment process.
But that was blocked.
So we succeeded in blocking it at the military recruitment. Then when it came to the Ministry of Interior recruitment, the minister responded to the calls from the grassroots by the party full soldiers, ferried through Dafia Mepo and Sam George, that the age limit has to be bastardized and expanded to 35. So when they responded to that call, the full soldiers had hope because now their calls have been strengthened. And it had nothing to do with merit at that time. It had everything to do with expanding access so that every NDC full soldier may get into the security service. Then they turn around to say that we are going to also do a merit-based recruitment so the public gets in. There may be hundreds of thousands of people who may think that I don't know any uncle, I don't have any friend, or I don't have any godfather who probably has relations with NDC. So with this ongoing recruitment, I will not even bother myself to go and waste my money to pay. But they say, oh, it is going to be merit-based. Everybody get on board. We are even expanding the age limit to 35. Evans, in a country where median age is 21.3, what at all will be international benchmark, best practice, will inform the expansion in age limits to 35?
No, but the reason why that is an issue that we can't dwell on now, because it didn't see the light of day.
No, it was accepted. It was accepted in the interior. So in the Ministry of Interior, ongoing recruitment.
But as you
the age limit was 35.
You've just told me that
yes,
it didn't see the light.
No, it saw it. We blocked it from the military. But for the Ministry of Interior...
But that's my point. So it wasn't implemented.
It was implemented.
It was suggested by the
it was implemented. And the minister himself, in his press conference before the forms were sold...
Implemented what?
Implemented a 35 age limit. For this particular recruitment we are referring to.
So you're saying that for the police, the prisons, the immigration...
The age limit was 35.
The age limit was 35?
Yes.
From what was it before?
25 for other ranks and 30 for officers to 35. For everybody. So the moment they changed that policy and expanded it, it signaled to the unemployed youth that perhaps they have expanded financial clearance, for which they would even expand the...
And this is before the committee that you know for certain?
This is for certain. Your producer can even play...
So this is before the committee? You know for certain?
Yes, this is for certain. This is matter of public record. He did press conference and then they advertised it. He also spoke
that the age limit has been increased.
The age limit had been expanded to 35. And so whilst I maintain, and some of us maintain our criticism of that problematic, politically motivated expansion, because it wasn't based on any technical advice. Every security analyst you spoke to condemned it. But yet they went ahead, and I pointed you the routes. Came from Dafia Mepo and Sam George. So you are signaling to the youth that you have expanded slots available. And that is why you are even increasing the age limits to accommodate for more. So they flood in and then they buy it. Then you're also telling the neutrals who may not be party full soldiers that because you have unlimited access, you are going to be merit-based so everybody can get in. Then that deceived 500,000. Evans has spoken to a number of these, and many of them will tell you if they knew this is how it was going to be, they wouldn't have wasted their money. Some have spent 800 cities, some have spent over 600 cities because they bought forms for let's say, immigration, they bought for police, they bought for fire service, minimum 2, 3, 4. And then only to get in there, the day they are.
So what was the expectation?
So
that somehow they would get in, although they don't qualify.
The expectation was that you promised them merit-based.
Yeah.
Give them the chance.
But this is
to demonstrate their merits.
Yes.
So now they get in there.
How would you describe the assessment process? Isn't it merit-based?
So I'm giving you practically what happened.
Yes. The evidence of what actually happened.
Yes. Each of the 500,000 people, all they wanted was the chance to demonstrate how they merited.
But they did.
So they were handed the aptitude test.
That's not
their computer.
No, that was not the first thing that happened.
No, they have gone through, everybody goes through.
No, it's important. Let's be factual.
Yes, but
there was a documentation.
Which is always done.
True. Mm-hmm. And then you move on to do the body selection.
Which is always done.
Good. Mm-hmm. And then you do the aptitude test, which is a new part that was introduced.
So this aptitude test, it's not a new introduction, but the automated system is the AI-generated question. That's the only new introduction. Yes. So the problem
but that certainly is a good thing.
The problem with it, which I want to point out to you, is that in a country where, though we want to leapfrog, embrace AI, we want to use technology to enhance all our processes. But in leapfrogging, you also want to ensure that you put in the fundamental infrastructure such that the implementation will not backfire. So even in very advanced jurisdictions where they have the digital divide is broken, and even for instance, United States of America, where everybody in their home, wherever they find themselves, have uninterrupted access to internet. When they are recruiting, when it gets to the point of aptitude tests, they do two things. You go to the recruitment center, which is this decentralized, and in most cities. So you go there, not even states, cities. So you go there, and then you are given the opportunity to set uninterrupted internet access. You do a mock aptitude test before you are even scheduled for the main aptitude test, and within their premises, uninterrupted. But in this case, in Ghana, that's not what they did. They just threw out.
Where in the world does this happen precisely?
United States of America, precisely.
But we don't have the infrastructure for that.
So that is why I'm even saying that even in the United States of America, where many people, at least about 9 out of 10, can assure you that I can even sit in the comfort of my home, my office, and my school, and I'll be able to have uninterrupted access to internet. They don't even let them do it in the comfort of anywhere they find themselves.
Yeah, but
they bring them to a certain decentralized center.
That's a very resource country. But if you want to get into a security service,
you are not appreciating
to do an online aptitude test. You must find a place with reliable internet to do it. So
you took, and all these things in the United States, you don't pay anything. But in Ghana, you have collected fees from them. And you are saying that you should go.
But recruitment has always been one that you pay.
I'm coming. This
is not new.
No, I'm coming. But elsewhere, they don't pay, but they are giving decentralized centers where you go and sit, uninterrupted access to internet. So whatever outcome that comes in, immediately you assess and you see your results. That is AI, because it can assess you. Ghana, the so-called AI, it would not even put you in an environment where internet connectivity is guaranteed.
Yeah, but that's your responsibility.
They just throw the link at you, knowing very well that about 70% of locations in this country, 70% of where the 500,000 people who they have mailed 110 million cities from know very well that they have problematic internet connectivity. Even the minister's own ministry, they can't guarantee 100%.
But I'm surprised you're bringing an internet dispute for the people who apply. If you're applying,
I am bringing in because
I get it. If you're applying for a job, we've all been to interviews before. It is your responsibility to provide yourself a place where you can sit, do the interview, and get a reliable internet. Why should the government be providing you internet for a job interview?
So, the reason why this is not merit-based is that you are tying the success of your so-called merit-based system to a guaranteed internet, because your test is internet-based. So the moment there is interruption in internet, it flaws the entire assessment. Do you appreciate that?
Yeah, but that is
that
is the risk of doing an online-based test.
So what you're saying is that
even in the US it could happen.
No, so what you're saying, so that's why
some individuals.
And that is why in the US they put you in a facility.
But that's not something we can afford.
Decentralized. We can.
Yeah. But even with that, we had more than 100,000 people still shortlisted on the back of the aptitude test.
If you would listen to me, I would make all these points. So in Ghana, they threw the links at them, and they didn't care wherever you do it. And they said, it is your responsibility. Go and find wherever you find.
But it shouldn't be government responsibility.
Fair enough. But you are introducing a policy in an environment. If you fail to gauge the environment within which you are implementing policy, your policy has failed right from its formulation stage, because every policy is formed within a context. What is the context of your AI?
But you see the fundamental.
Is in the context of Ghana.
Fundamental
this
problem.
Is the context that Asin Krua will buy forms,
the fundamental problem,
Azim will buy forms, and not only people.
The fundamental problem that this was solving was a merit-based. And this problem that you're talking about, it won't discriminate on the party lines. It won't discriminate on gender lines. It won't discriminate on your affiliation with the minister. All the 500,000 people who get to that point have the same challenge as everybody else. If it's internet, that process is far better than what we used to have in the past, where people control and manipulate. And have so much human interference.
Evans, I can assure you, the 5,000 slots that they are looking at is already gone. The 5,000 slots is already gone. So let's.
When you say gone,
it is already gone.
There's no evidence.
They already know that people.
No evidence for that.
It's already gone.
I mean,
we'll talk more.
Minority leader made a similar point. He had to apologize later.
I'm saying that it's already gone. But
if the minority leader apologizes,
no one can gag anybody with threats of privileges and immunities.
No.
When wrong things are being done, we are pointing it out.
But anything for Joe, you haven't given me any evidence.
So let me
make that bold, very grand claim that it's gone.
Oh, it's gone.
Because there's no evidence.
Evans,
so we can disregard that and stick to what you, of course, you know as a
Yes, you can disregard it, but I'm telling you, it's gone. And that is why people are apprehensive. You see, you have deceived 500,000 people. And then only at the middle of the recruitment, when challenges arise, and these are the challenges I'm telling you, if you open the phone lines and you get about 20 calls of those who actually went through without any political party affiliation. We're not talking about politics here.
Yeah.
We are talking about that applicant, whether he's NDC or MPP or apolitical, that is not my point here. The fact that he's an applicant and he has been shortchanged and he was deceived into a so-called merit-based system, only for the system to be a 419 system.
How is
it? Is not merit-based.
419?
And you will not listen to me to establish it.
But you've spoken a lot about it, and
when they start,
the person went for document evaluation. The person went for body selection. The person did aptitude test. The only thing you've said is that the aptitude test didn't take into consideration the lack of internet access. How is that fraud?
It was fraud because you would not even be able to take it. Many of them, more than half.
But how is that fraud? You're talking about circumstantial issues that every applicant face. How is that fraud?
No, not every.
How is that 419?
Your merit base. What is your definition of merit base? Equity.
The fact
it
that
must be equitable.
Everybody have the same shot at getting in.
But they already have the same shot.
What do you say?
It is not equitable. So if you are talking about over 70% people who, by reason of their location, would not have stable internet. How many locations in Ghana have stable internet?
We've all done internet before. You're saying to me that you know you're going to run an aptitude test. If you're in a village, you won't find a city center where you have stable internet to do that aptitude test. I'm surprised that anybody would actually, knowing you're doing an aptitude test, will sit in your home without internet and hope to do it.
So the fact that you are even centralizing your aptitude test by principle, because then you must run to the center where you find internet. It's even problematic. It is not equitable. That cannot pass for merit-based system.
But that certainly is not fraud.
Merit-based system. Merit-based system. No, it is.
You could say it could pass it as a flaw in.
It is because you have set it up to fail.
Consideration.
Because you know that 500,000.
The circumstances of people.
You know very well that 500,000 people in this country applying from all districts and various villages and communities will not have equitable, quality, uninterrupted access to the crust of your assessment, which is internet-based. So that in itself is set up to disenfranchise more than half of the applicant at the outset.
Let me assess for a second, Dr. Ishman,
I'll come to you. We'll come back to this, but let me also point out another problem.
Yeah.
The minister's centralized recruitment.
Yeah, I'll come to that.
Recruitment
so that we can,
had always been decentralized.
We can look at the approach.
Ghana Police Service.
I want to get Dr. Ishman's thoughts on the 4 set of assessment criteria that you've just talked on. And Doc, weigh in for me on the approach, specifically on the 4 assessment criteria that you have to subject yourself to, and the introduction, obviously, of the aptitude test, after which you do your medicals. Is that best practice?
I believe that this is one of the best ways to remove the human intervention in any selection process. When I was joining the United States Army, I went through the documentation process. I didn't go through the body selection, but I did an aptitude test. As Honorable Mpojo has correctly said, before, even at the recruitment center, before I went to the basic training center and did a more formal aptitude test. The medical did not happen at the recruitment center. It happened at the beginning of the basic training, so that if medically I wasn't fit for it, then I would have been sent home. And this happened in Oklahoma, the actual training, the basic training. This is probably one of the most meritocratic approaches to do selection of any group of people into any kind of organized system. I don't see, Honorable Ntim Fojo has spoken so much about so many issues, and he doesn't address the first question you asked him. I'm sorry, it's a time wasting. Let's focus on the issues one by one so that we can seriously interrogate the issues and not get too emotional or political. But for me, when it comes to the meritocratic basis of the aptitude test and documentation, body selection, and medical that Ghana has selected, I think is the best approach so far in our country in terms of selecting people for the security agencies.
If you look at the big picture and the challenge that the minister articulates today, and the fundamental issue of depoliticizing the recruitment process. And I keep going back to that, obviously, because of our recent history. There have been so many commissions, so many committees of inquiries that we've set up that always came to the conclusion that we're politicizing our security services, even the military, by prioritizing political elements in the recruitment process. Does this approach fundamentally cure that?
It does. It truly, truly does. And I hope they continue during the promotion processes, because the promotion processes is also bedeviled with a lot of identity politics and party politics. And so if we are going to really streamline meritocracy into our system, this is the beginning, and it's a fantastic beginning.
What do you say to the NDC base, rank and file, who are very livid at the minister and the government for not giving them opportunities to get into the services? We've seen them across social media. The minister today addressed them directly and say, look, we have to do the right thing. That even if I need to give consideration to my NDC folks, I must make sure first that you go through the 4 assessment criteria and then you qualify before any consideration is given. Well, what do you say to that base?
I believe that certain promises were made at the beginning of every campaign. Those promises have to stop if we're going to pursue meritocratic hiring, promotions, and everything. And so I believe that the NDC is trying to correct itself about some of the pipe dreams that they may have used in the campaign. If we can pursue this approach, our democracy will become very clean. But we have a lot of issues, but the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. This is one of the first steps to clean up the swamp of corruption in this country, and I totally support it. And the NDC supporters should please work in tandem with the party's policies and support the policies, even if you have to make a bit of a sacrifice for the moment against your self-interest. Let us pursue this. And the moment we pursue this for the security agencies, it will go into the appointment of vice chancellors, lecturers, appointment of public servants, promotions of CEOs, and all of that. It should be based upon merit and not how long you have campaigned for the political party. This is one of the reasons why our country is not developing, because people with skills, the other day I said somebody like Major General Kotia should never have been allowed to go home on retirement, because that man is so useful, his utility is so high, he could contribute a lot to Ghana's democracy and Ghana's security in terms of border and general security of this country.
And I must say that Major General Kotia was scheduled to be with us, but he's unavailable as we speak. I'm hoping that we still manage to get him so that he can share some thoughts, because he'll bring a depth of knowledge and experience to this conversation. Now, so how should the minister handle the pressure that is coming from within? I mean, from without, you could see that he could possibly manage, but from within, there's a fear that it may be overwhelming to the point where he may have to buckle. What would you say should be his ultimate posture? Should he stand firm?
Necessity is the mother of invention. Once you are confronted with the issue within the political party, there should be another way of solving the problem. And I think if the executives put their heads together and Ghanaians put their heads together, we should be able to find ways to find jobs for the youth. One of them is for government to make loans really reasonable to businesses, captains of industry, so they can expand their businesses, long-term payment plan, moratorium for about the first year. You give $1 million, $2 million, 18 months moratorium before they start to pay back. And believe me, if government makes loans accessible to businesses, some of these issues can be solved, because government alone cannot create all the jobs. There is no country in the world where government is the major employer and is able to employ everybody. It's not possible. Even in communist China, private enterprise is part of the reasons why they were able to transform so many of their populations into millionaires. Russia, socialist Russia, same.
Give me a quick thought on this too. One of the key changes is the system, the recruitment system is now centralized. Yes, all the agencies will have their part to play in it, but in terms of, say, the portal, it's all centralized so you can see what's happening. What do you make of that approach? And I say this obviously, and again, we're guided by history. I remember in 2015, sorry, I'm coming. I just want to get his thoughts. I'll come to you. And I remember very, very clearly one time when the police service had a direct role in the recruitment process. I don't know if you remember Commissioner Patrick Timbila, who was placed under house arrest for alleged recruitment fraud. I remember very well the police doing a press conference on that. And the concern was that if you leave it to the agencies themselves, then you have the potential that some elements in there may take advantage of it. And so Police Commissioner Patrick Timbila was then arrested over that, placed under house arrest, very dramatic circumstances. Is this an approach that we should perpetuate going forward?
For the security agencies, I believe it is the best approach. It truly, truly is. It is transparent. Everybody can see what is going on. because the propensity to steal in Ghana is in our blood. It is in our, it's part of our
insulting.
And therefore we have to do centralized things, control everything, and take out the human intervention.
You had said that
I have.
Give me your thoughts on that.
With the greatest of respect to Dr. Norman, but I have very serious exceptions to certain things he has just said. You see, politics should not be the basis for which a whole security agency must be scandalized. You can't scandalize the Ghana Police Service and, by extension, our security agencies to say that the propensity to steal is there, and so you must remove their rights and mandate to recruit from them. This is coming from a man who was recruited into the American, the United States military. He didn't pay any fee when he was entering. We are talking about 500,000 people who have been mailed 110 million. And we are saying that the security agencies themselves would have been strengthened, even with directions from the merit-based directions, so-called, from the minister, for them to undertake their own recruitment. Dr. Norman was not recruited by the ministry, the State Department of Defense.
Or the Department of War.
Or the Department of War. No, he wasn't recruited by the Secretary of Defense in the United States of America. They had a secretary. He was recruited by the military through their agency. And we are saying that if we want to adopt best practice, let's adopt it and adopt it properly. And so
what would you have?
So from coming from a man as respected as I do cherish him, to be scandalizing our police service to say that the minister is justified in removing their right to recruitment and taking it to his chest at the Ministry of Interior because he mistrusts the Ghana Police Service, he mistrusts IGP, he mistrusts the Ghana Prison Service, the Ghana Immigration Service, the Ghana Prison Service. These are institutions who have undertaken recruitment that have produced the best of security officials we have in the sub-region.
But I have it on record.
Instance or two instances
but I have it on record.
Certain corruption or scandals came.
Yeah.
It is not enough to give a dog a bad name to handle.
But I have it on record in Team Fojo that when one company was selected, I think out of three of them, to administer the infrastructure for the recruitment, I have it on record that all the various agencies were asked to have their own contract with that agency. So the police had their own contract with the agency, the prison service had their own contract with the agency at that individual level. And that is how it played out. But then, of course, when they dealt with that agency, in terms of the infrastructure, it is centralized. And then it is then diffused to these four agencies. So I have it on record that that's indeed what happened.
Ask Dr. Norman that he is talking about best practice.
So it's not necessarily centralized in that sense.
It's centralized.
So the minister is not the one who is doing it. In fact, I understand that the minister himself insisted
the fact that
the agency should sign personal direct contracts with the various institutions.
The fact that you have centralized the process and it is all to your chest and you have a centralized system. And then you are asking IGP to bring his input. You are asking Chief Fire Service Officer to bring some small inputs. You have taken the whole control from them. So the fact, you've taken it away from them.
The contract wasn't signed with the Interior Ministry.
If you ask them to sign certain things, they sign because you are drawing the budgets that will pay them from their agencies.
No, but let's be clear. Let's be clear about the procedure.
Them to sign.
There was a
the process itself.
Let me clarify. That's evidence.
I am the ranking member of the committee.
I know,
and I'm telling you.
But this is also
you have been given some background information.
Just a second. I'll come to you.
In reality,
there was
this recruitment was centralized. It wasn't done.
Just making a point of fact.
And the reason why they took it away from them, now we are told that the propensity to steal by our security agencies.
No, but
that is most
I'll ask him to clarify. But I'm making the point just for the information of our audience.
Don't steal. They're not thieves.
There was restrictive tendering for the construction of the infrastructure. 3 agencies, I believe, sent in the bid. 1-1. Now, the minister then insists, from the documents I've seen, that instead of this being run from one contract, the contract should be signed with the respective agencies. And I'm pretty sure you know this. And so the agency then signed the direct contracts with the implementing architectural agencies
Evans,
that set it up.
So
it is not necessarily centralized in the sense
Evans,
in which
it is centralized. It is centralized. If you can speak to any security analyst, they will tell you it's centralized. The fact that there were some agreements that some agencies were asked to sign did not mean that they were doing the recruitment. The fact that somebody doesn't see anything wrong with the fact that in the security sector governance, it is dangerous for a minister to be doing recruitment is this. When the agencies are made to do their recruitment is operational and tactical activities. They are not policy things. The minister gives the policy direction and broad guidelines. You allow the security agencies to undertake their recruitment based on the policy you've given them so that you'll be able to oversight. Now that you have centralized to the ministry and you are rather asking them to be giving inputs and be signing bits and pieces of documents, when this scandal erupted, they will be sitting somewhere. IGP won't speak. Chief Officer won't speak. Director General of Prison Service won't speak. Controller General of Immigration won't speak. Their PROs won't speak because they know very little about what you're doing. That is why the minister himself is the one moving from station to station and is the one organizing press conference.
You say they don't know anything. They know little.
They were involved minimally.
But the body
otherwise the body
selection was done by prisons.
Why are they not talking? So
the body selection was done by prisons.
Evans, I'm asking.
Was done by the police.
Why is the minister
was done by the immigration?
Explaining this. You see,
the document selection was done by.
It is bad governance.
And you see, there are facts, and then there's the one that we can all conjecture. I'm saying, in the 4 assessment criteria, the police did their bit in assessing their people. The prisons did their bit. That's a huge chunk of the process.
If you want them to own their own recruitment.
But they own it.
You ask them to own it. And Dr. Norman will tell you his own recruitment. The minister didn't take it and then asking Air Force, come and assess your people when you're done, go. And then Marines, come and assess your people when you're done, go. And then artillery, come and... No, that's not how it's done. You leave it for the security agency. Recruitment is a responsibility. Show me any minister, any part of the world who does their own recruitment. So when a scandal like this erupts, you, the minister, have no safeguard. Now, will it take the president to step into oversight? And that is why it is always safe for governance that, yes, you want a merit-based system. Everybody likes it. We all want merit-based system. So put in a merit-based policy, give it to the agencies. Now, in the administration of that merit base, it has so been determined that it was not merit-based after all because it has disenfranchised over 70% of the applicants by way of formulating a policy that is internet-based in a context where internet is a problem. Where internet is a problem.
I need to wrap up, but
you have taken 220 cities from people.
2 quick questions just to get your thoughts.
It's problematic.
The first one
the best course of action.
But I'll come to you. I know the point you're coming to, but I need to ask you very quickly. For a long time, one of the biggest challenges we've had with these recruitments is recruitment fraud. I remember it's almost on a yearly basis. It was a big deal, even after the Timbala incident, every year. This year, that hasn't been an issue. Isn't that I'm talking about recruitment fraud. You know what I'm talking about? Not this.
The biggest recruitment scam is this one.
But there's no scam here.
110 million.
There's no scam here.
I'm not downplaying recruitment fraud.
Yeah.
But
that's the question I'm asking you.
Has there ever been?
There's no recruitment fraud.
Has there ever been?
Under this. Isn't that a testament to the quality of this process?
Can you show me a report that has said that in a single year, applicants lost 110 million cedis to recruitment fraud? Do you have any paper, any white paper to that effect? But the evidence is what you pointed out on your screen. 110 million cedis mailed from very poor, hard-working, unemployed youth. And I speak for every applicant, whether you're NDC, MPP, or apolitical, I speak for you. 110 million.
What should government do with that money?
Mailed from them.
But those who didn't get in.
And then they were not even given the uninterrupted access to internet to be able to justify their merits.
Is at the heart of your submission.
So it's a merit-based system. You don't give him the opportunity to justify his merit, yet you text him that you are disqualified. So they should refund everybody's money to them.
They should.
They should refund as a matter of urgency. Everyone, whether MPP, NDC, apolitical, they should refund and dissolve this biggest recruitment scandal.
Dissolve it?
Yes.
How?
They should revert.
They should stop it?
We're going to conduct we are calling for a bipartisan probe into this. They should immediately suspend it, refund everybody's money. Let's revert to the status quo where the security agencies are going to own it and provide them the merit-based policy direction and put in infrastructure that will guarantee every applicant that when you're sitting the aptitude test, which I do not disagree, you must be afforded the uninterrupted 45 minutes internet access, and then when you're done answering, the transparently feedback is AI generated. You must immediately have your assessment. You don't go and then a week later some text message comes to tell you that you are disqualified, when you know very well that you have passed. Okay. So that transparency is even a problem. Then again, what we must do is that going forward, do we even have to charge? In the past, when these things were charged, when the security agencies were charged, in some instances, it even supported IGF. It wasn't 110 million. It was reasonable applicants based on, here, 1%. You did analysis. You showed it on your screen. 1%. You have slots for only 1%, and yet you have balloon applicants. And it's not even going to the agencies. It sits at the ministry. And so the agencies don't even get the status quo of institutionally benefits. And I'm telling you, releases to police service doesn't go, releases to fire service doesn't go, and releases to prison service doesn't go.
We need to wrap up.
To all the security agencies,
but I want to give a final word to Dr. Norman.
Fall on some of these IGF to support certain innovations.
Dr. Norman,
take it all from them. You've hoarded it to the ministry. You've milked 110.
Let me quickly give a final word to
recruitment.
Let me quickly give a final word to Dr. Norman.
So we are not being emotional.
Dr. Norman.
Being emotional.
Let me hear him. Let me hear him.
No one is, so that must be dispelled.
Let me hear him. So going forward, though, he says that you should return the money. Would you?
Emotional.
Let me hear him. Let me hear him.
No one is, so that must be dispelled.
Let me hear him. So apologies there. Can we fix that quickly so I can hear him? Hello, Mr. Norman. Hello, Dr. Norman. Hello, Dr. Norman. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay. Can you please repeat the points you were making? We had a brief glitch with the sound.
As much as you respect me. However, don't twist my words because I won't allow you. I never said that the police or the army are thieves. I said the propensity to steal is in our DNA, not police. I said nation. That's what I said. And there's a fact to this. We can prove it. I've been a lawyer for a long time in this country, and so many criminal cases by dignified individuals, police, army, name it, politicians, we have them. Christians, Muslims, we have them. So when I make a general statement that the propensity to steal is in our DNA, it is not a wrong statement, okay? Now, I believe that this conversation is going to continue for a while. And so for me, I support the approach of the Ministry of Interior. The best approach for selection of any group of people into any institution is meritocratic approach, which the ministry is doing. Centralizing it to reduce the human interaction is also one of the best approach. Criticizing AI-generated tests is not correct because it is the best approach to assess so many people with various backgrounds, education, economic, and so on and so forth. The processing fees, if today you want to take the graduate record examination in the United States of America, you pay processing fees.
You don't pay for recruitment. You don't pay for recruitment. Dr. Norman, Dr. Norman, that is not correct. You don't pay for recruitment.
Let me get him to wrap up. Yes. So, that's interfering with what he's saying. Let me just get him to wrap up. Yes.
Government has no stolen. It's not a fraud to collect processing fees. It's part of administrative costs. And I believe that every patriotic citizen should be able to say, I have contributed my part in my effort to apply for a job with the ministries. I have contributed my part. Thank you very much.
Okay, Dr. Naman, thank you very much. And Team 4Joe, I'm grateful. Enjoy the rest of your evening.